Oh yeah, it doesn't like it.
Hello. So, sorry, I'm going to do this in
Yeah,
English.
go ahead. Norwegian.
So nice to see this many people on a meetup that came about very randomly and very spontaneously. So the occasion
happens.
yeah,
That's how it happens. It's so random.
bottom up. Would you say this is bottom up? Yes.
Well, it's a courtesy, common courtesy. See, Nikolai went to Guatemala. He went to see our project. So it's like common courtesy, respect. So that's why I'm here. Say thank you.
All the way from Montreal.
All the way from Montreal. So say thank you to you guys for all your time.
That's a nice thank you. I want to say thank you for your thank you.
That's very Canadian. He's Canadian.
I'm gonna have to come to Montreal now. Or?
No, we're good. I think we're good.
Okay,
No. There you'll be disappointed. There's too much snow.
Yeah. So as Ricky said, I went to Guatemala in December. I went to other places as well, and I've been infiltrating like Telegram groups and stuff in Latin America. And in one of those, I don't know where I found you, but in one of those Telegram groups or whatever, I got in touch with Ricky, who helped me. Who got me in touch with Eliasar and Lago Bitcoin and other people. Been of great help in that little adventure. Now I was told that there's only one rule here in Oslo Plebs, and that is don't take any pictures or video of anyone else without asking them. I'm already violating that that rule, so I'm trying to film only Ricky. I would say if that is the only rule, I would say it sounds like we're gonna have a good good evening in front of us. So I guess I didn't really introduce you, but Ricky, he's one of the co-founders of Lago Bitcoin.
Officially a ghost.
When
you see me today.
Yeah. You try to go under the radar.
Below the radar, because in Canada, so you gotta be below the radar.
Yeah.
And so that's the way we roll.
Good. I'm looking very much forward to hearing your talk about Lago Bitcoin, which is, I guess I can say it's like a circular economy initiative by the Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. Have I forgotten to say anything or no? Okay, guys, enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you. So Nikolai told me there's a presentation, so we did some slides, a couple. Annie did them. She's a graphic designer. She's my wife. So if you like them, it's her work, not mine. All right. So how do we do this? We do play or just like that? Okay, good, perfect. So thank you for coming. Thank you. It's Sunday, so thank you for your time. And we're gonna start. Panajachel, this is it. Big lake. Lake Atitlan is one of the three main tourist attractions in Guatemala. So you have the old capital, which is called Antigua, like colonial Spanish feel. Everybody in Guatemala wants to live in Antigua. Everybody wants to make it there, but nobody goes. So that's Antigua. Then we have Lake Atitlan, which is in the highlands, and it's surrounded by 3 volcanoes. You feel it's timeless if you're there. It's because you gotta go by boat around the lake. So it's for those that went to Venice in Italy. It's sort of the same thing. You feel of taking the Vaporetto. You walk, you experience all the islands, no driving, no cars. It's very human scale. So this is a little bit the same feel, very romantic. So hopefully it's gonna make it in your list of tourist attractions. And finally, the main attraction in Guatemala is obviously everything that's Mayan. So you have Tikal, which are the Mayan ruins. So you have those three. So Lake Atitlan, it's worth it. Hello. I'm sorry, I don't know if this thing's slipping or. So you have it here, Guatemala, for those that haven't had the chance to go. It seems not that bad of a flight, but I know it's a challenge because you got to take a lot of flights. So Nikolai survived. Hopefully you guys are going to survive too. So Guatemala is really Central America. Central America, after the Spanish conquest, it was the Kingdom of Mexico. It went all the way to Panama, and then it just lasted 1 year, and then everybody broke up. But we're still the same. It's always the same. When you go to Central America, we're like neighbors with El Salvador, Honduras. So it's like the same people, but Guatemala is different because we have a lot of indigenous people. We have 60% of indigenous people. So that's the richness of Guatemala is that. It's the difference that we have with all the indigenous culture. All right, this is Guatemala. So all this part was the Mayan territory. It went all the Yucatan, Quintana Roo here in Mexico, Chiapas. It went all the way here, half of Salvador, a little bit of Honduras. So these are all the Mayan lands. So you're 100% in the Mayan calendar. Guatemala City is where everybody lands, and then you gotta get yourself to Lake Atitlan, which is there. So the good thing for you guys is that for those that need, we have a taxi service. Everything's paid in Bitcoin. We can help you guys. So we created that sort of link to be easy for those that don't want to complicate themselves and pay with fiat. All right. This is what it looks. Experience nature. It's huge. You are surrounded by volcanoes. I'm telling you, once you get there, it's amazing. First time I went to Lake Atitlan, it was by night, taking the lancha. You could see the lights, and it was very impressive the next day when you wake up and you're like in the middle of such a big space. It's a great place. So, what's happening over there in Guatemala? Like all Central America, it's a cash economy, cash society, everything's in cash. Things are progressing slowly, so there's like a couple of businesses here and there that start accepting card payments. But we in the Lake Atitlan in Panajachel, which is the main town, there's like 11 towns around the lake. Panajachel is the main one, that's where we're based. What we're trying to do is we're trying to work with the poorest of the poor. Because we're trying to prove the fact that the poor, not having the digital life of card payments, they can have digital payments through Bitcoin. So now we're working with all the informal businesses, and most of them, they really like accepting Bitcoin because it's for the first time they're usually they're dealing with digital payments instead of cash payments. What we use is a Blink app. It's available everywhere except in the US, obviously because of the laws and regulations. So this is our 4th year. We have like 100 businesses that accept Bitcoin, even more because there's like, you don't see this in the app, but there's like other ways of accepting Bitcoin over there. They have other businesses. So this is really where we started, where we work. We're here, like Panajachel, this is the mainland. And our progression, we started slowly. because we're very grassroots. We want it to be organical. So when we started, we only had one business. And it really took a while before we could, because we started in the bear market of 2022. So it really took a while to get going. But quickly, we made it to 60. It took us like 6 months. We made it to 60 points. Now we have more, like 100 or more or less, and we stop because we need more. It's the challenge is having the Bitcoin influx. It's because people aren't going to buy it themselves. It's more like they're going to accept payments. So that's, if we start orange pilling everybody, there won't be enough Bitcoin coming. So people are going to like disable it or stop accepting. So it's a challenge of growing. Everybody's experiencing it. So we really had to slow down to even stop, or else we won't have enough Bitcoin circulating. There's an Argentinian author. He went to different Bitcoin circular economies. So he interviewed our economy, and this are stories in the book. So I'm just gonna, I know you guys won't have time to read it, but you can just paper up and or stories there if ever you're interested. It's on Amazon. I didn't bring copies, but if for those that are more interested, there's a book on us. There's even the Deutsche television. They did a German. There's a German documentary on us that was released. It's called the Bitcoineros. So it was done in 2023. So it's a little bit outdated, and it was obviously very, partial, but a little bit negative. And they were having doubts, because the bear market is crashing, people are losing their money. But now, obviously, the things turn around. It's funny watching the documentary. So I could talk all day. I won't do that because I respect your time. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, go ahead.
So I was wondering about the transaction volume, if you have any statistics to share.
We had the statistics. They're not recent. But what happened is very interesting, is that during the 2022, during the bear market, it was 100% circular. People were receiving payments, and it was going down, so they were like, oh, we got to get rid of it. So they were liking the digital aspect of the technology, but they didn't want to keep it because they didn't have any faith in the future. So they were using it between them, So okay, good, it's amazing. I can receive, I can pay. So volume was very strong. And then what happened is 2023 happened. We hit the bottom, and then they became like everybody else, like us, hodling, and then it completely stopped. So we don't have any Bitcoin circular economy anymore. It's like everybody's like keeping it, Because over there, what's important to note is that they don't have any saving mechanism. You have stores, convenience stores. What they do is they stack all everything that they have. They triple the stock, quadruple the stock. So when you enter over there, you gotta enter like this, and you gotta pay like this, because there's so many stock, because that's how they keep your wealth. So now with this technology, they don't have the burglary problem, they don't have a fire problem, flood problem. This really helps them. So when they realize that, they say, okay, I don't need that much stock, so I'm gonna keep this up. So it's more anonymous, they can get to keep it. So, I mean, for them, it's a win-win. Because everything that we do, when we help them, we're like an NGO. So we're not charging fees or anything. We're doing that free. We're just giving them knowledge. We wanna give them, what we wanna achieve is we wanna change mentalities. We want them to have the tools to better themselves, to to experience what we have experienced. Because when you have been a long time, it's like you change, you progress until you achieve the Bitcoin standard. It's a progression. Once you get to that Bitcoin standard, all the way you think you save is different. So we wanna guide them towards that path. But it's a personal journey. We won't be there trying to convince them until you should do this. No, it's like we get there slowly. It's like, look, you have this option. You can take this path or this path. Look, this path where you are at led you here. What if you tried this path? Maybe it's gonna help you out. So, that's the way we do it. We don't force anybody. We're just more like tech support. We're there to help them. And when things are going bad, volatility, well, we're there to just calm them down and tell them, volatility is vitality.
When you're talking about the like educating them on Bitcoin, but also that their mentality is not like around savings and stuff. What's the balance of like information you provide them on? Both like the technical side, I assume like that's probably a large part to start out with, but then the whole like just like handling money and saving for future and just like changing the way that they do their trade.
Yeah, we have so many issues. The main issue is that we really help the poorest of the poor. That means they're very hand to mouth. So it's like saving for them is hard because it's either you save or you eat, so it's hard for them. But still, you'll be amazed how people in the lower parts of society have the ability to save, not like us, but at least a part that can grow if they manage to make it to a cycle, to the next cycle. So it's impressive how these people in those circumstances have the ability to save. So once they have those tools, obviously, I mean, it's amazing for them. We don't have anybody that's disappointed. Nobody has like stepped down or say we're gonna stop accepting it. No, it's the other way around. It's like everybody wants to receive more payments, and everybody. So it's the other side. Now for the technical part, our challenge right now is that they have been hodling since 2023. So now in 2025, that amount is significant for them. Maybe not for us, but for them it's significant. And these are custodial solutions because that's the first step for them. I mean, you're dealing with people that didn't even go to school. So obviously you can't go self-custody day one. So now our challenge is that we are there. We're there at the self-custody part. But the problem is that in Spanish, there's only two solutions. There's no cold card. There's no the solutions that we're going to use. There's just like two solutions. One is the crux that nobody knows about it. And then there's the other SIG signer that was just translated and launched recently. So we're like stuck with those solutions. And if you want to buy them, I went to the hardware store in El Salvador. Like, if a normal person wants to buy them, it's $130 US. I mean, if you're a person that's gonna buy a device for $130, you need at least $1,000 or $1,500 to make the expense worth it. So those are the challenges we have right now, is that we need more custody solutions in Spanish and hopefully the cheap versions. We're very close with the Cuban community, and they have achieved to do self-custody devices for 10 US. So there's like ways but they're way too technical for the common person. So we're like in talks with Blockstream to hopefully have the Jade and even a lower version of the Jade if possible, so it can be like an entrance point for people. So we're a little bit there. It's like everything's being built right now. We're in like I was telling Nikolai, we're that generation that's starting. We're the first generation that's really doing everything from scratch. Like the work that you guys are doing here, the work that we are doing, it's all different. You know, you guys have other challenges. We have challenges. Everybody has challenges. All the communities like growing, helping each other. So we're all in the same boat.
Hi, thanks Ricky for coming all the way from
Sure.
Montreal. So I have like a two-folded question, and the first one is I'm very fascinated about how the circular economies like bottom up in like Guatemala, but also Costa Rica, compared to like the political top-down in El Salvador. And I wanted to ask if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, from day one, the objective, the philosophy was doing it bottom up. Because when you start your Bitcoin journey, you realize that this is empowerment, self-empowerment. So at some point, it's like you gotta, from yourself, you gotta go through a journey. And it's not an outsider or a corporation or a government entity that's gonna bring you to that path. It's a sovereign path that you gotta go through yourself. So it just makes sense for a community to go through that path instead of the government forcing you to do another one of those things. It really has to be, from our perception, it really has to be a bottom-up adoption because that's the way it's going to be sustained across time. Because if ever something happens to us, we were just guides and they will already be in a path. Whoever we manage to persuade, they will eventually find their way. And what we're doing is we have to be guides. Tell them, look, there's the information. There's information here. You want to learn, but we won't do the work for them because that's not sustainable and that won't make it. So unfortunately, you can see what's happening in El Salvador right now, the IMF, the fact that the legal tender laws, it creates a little bit of a disappointment. And that's unfortunately what you are exposed if you rely on government entities to sort of get you through a journey that you gotta do alone. So it just makes sense for us to bring that in Guatemala, to have that community grassroots way, because what we believe long term, it's more sustainable.
So, like the second question goes into like Guatemala and Costa Rica, because what I'm like seeing from, let's just call them what they are my idols. A lot of people working open source developers, but also like Francis Pulio in Lago Bitcoin, but also Jack Dorsey. They spend a lot of time in Costa Rica, and they also had the Noster World Conference in Costa Rica. But can you compare like your circular economy to what's happening in Costa Rica?
Yeah. What we have to understand is that Costa Rica has been a safe place for a long period of time. It wasn't subject to, let's say Guatemala and El Salvador, that we had a civil war, ended in the 90s. Costa Rica had a different path. They don't have an army. It has been safer for tourists for longer, so they already have like the tourism built, safe tourism for Westerners built. There's already, before Bitcoin, there was already health destinations, wellness, yoga, whatever. So they had already that base. So that helped the Costa Rica movement, the Bitcoin jungle, or friends, that helped them attract more Westerners because there's already the services, You go there for wellness, you go there for the safety. So that created an influx of Bitcoiners that had different abilities, and plus they received a lot of people that are good with tech. So obviously, it's like every circular economy has their own little flavor. So their flavor is influenced by all these techs that are there. And from the beginning, they forked the Galoy wallet. From the beginning, they started with their own Bitcoin Jungle wallet. It's like $6K just to maintain all the system behind all the back end. So I mean, it's completely from the beginning. They already were tech-minded. They're like integrated with the payment apps. So I mean, those guys are far ahead. But the fact is that they help other circular economies. Like they are helping the one in Brazil, the Praia Bitcoin, because they're techies. The person managing the Praia Bitcoin is a little bit of a techie, so it helps. So whatever they do is helping others. So that's why they have a different flavor. So everybody's gonna have a different route, which is good. But the way I see it is that their model is more sustainable because they started small. They said, we're gonna focus on 2 towns, and that's what they did for like 2 years. And then they integrated all the payment system, and then they went bigger. So now they cover all Costa Rica. But they did it organically in their own way, and it's sustainable because whatever happens, those people did it themselves instead of the government that came to, bring them to that situation. Because if ever they have to go, they will just change, instead of using the Bitcoin Jungle app, they're going to use another app. And they're already going to be in their path. It doesn't matter if the government changes. That's also the case in Guatemala. It doesn't matter what the government does. If the government changes, it won't impact the project that's already running.
You mentioned that there's a dozen towns around the lake.
Yes, different towns, yes.
Yeah. Have you received any interest from the other ones starting similar
Yes,
economies?
The idea is to be present around the lake. So, in our first year, we had like a couple in Panajachel, maybe 1, 2, 3 around the lake. After 1 year, we had maybe 20. So now there's more around the lake. We're maybe 50 around the lake, but still, it's 300,000 people around the lake. So there's like 11 villages near the lake, but even in the highlands just around it, there's a lot of people. So I mean, it's a lot of work. And what we have to realize is that since we want to change mentalities, our focus is now mainly teaching kids. So our focus now is teaching kids, empowering them, giving them knowledge, and focusing less on businesses. Because the idea of a business is to, you need a sparkle at the beginning. You need to prove something. But after, you have to think about what is the project, where do you want to bring it? And if you want to change mentalities, if you want to change how the people think, you have to give the tools to the future generations. If you have a low time preference, if you have time in front of you, you want to give that information to those that are more able to understand and manipulate all the technology. So that's why our focus has shifted from orange pilling businesses to really teaching kids, building the future generation, because we're just the first wave. Hopefully there's going to be kids in 10 years from now that are going to replace us. And then they're going to do the work and we won't be needed anymore. So that's the idea. It's a little bit like you guys. somebody is out of the group is already strong. Somebody else is going to replace it. I mean, that's the strength here is what you have is the common knowledge. So that's a little bit what we want to recreate over there because we're only 3, and I'm the only one that's been in the system since 2013. The other ones are like newer. So if I go, obviously we're gonna take a hit. So it's not like here that you guys, somebody has to go, goes elsewhere. Somebody else is gonna step up because you have the talent is here. So that's a little bit, what we want to bring over there is across time. We want to create that, that society that's gonna prosper long term. Yes.
Super cool thing. So you're an NGO and you're a full-time NGO?
We're NGO without the paperwork because we're Bitcoiners, so we don't we don't do the paperwork. But we're like an NGO. We do our thing, we don't ask permission. That's what we do. Yeah, yes.
Where do you get the money from for running this operation?
We have a donation that comes from Bitcoin Beach. That's our main donation. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to create like an endowment, a fund that's gonna be self-maintaining, so we don't have to. Because the other thing that we do that we're different is that we're not running around. We're not bugging people in conferences. Come on, guys, help us out. And we don't want to be in that situation. So we're just there, we're doing our thing. You guys want to help us out? Cool, we're good. But we don't want to. We don't want to be, it's not arrogant, but we don't want to bother people. It's like everybody has their own challenges. As a person, you're saving, you have plans, you have family, you're doing your things, and when you're a Bitcoiner, and after all these years, you sort of understand and respect the saving process of each person. So each person has, their savings and their plans and this and that, and they donate their time, they donate this, they donate the money to causes that really touch them. And I feel that's the same way that it should be for everybody that runs an NGO. It's hopefully you don't have to run around. It's like those that want to donate to the cause, donate, and sometimes it's a little bit upset, sometimes it's more, but there's no pressure. We won't pressure people. The same way we don't pressure people to accept Bitcoin, we don't pressure people to donate Bitcoin. Because we had some bad experiences. It's like people wanted to, sponsor us. But my God, it's like you run around for like $100, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and it's not even worth it. It's not even worth your time. So that's why we're laid back. We're there. If you guys want to help, good. But we're not bugging people because you won't have friends at the end of the day. Yeah. Yes.
Short question. If you want to donate, do you have like a geyser page or what's your Lago Bitcoin like?
We used to have all the structure, but then donations. What happened is that all these circular economies starting popping left and right, so people were donating everywhere. So it all went down. So now we're just say, if you want to donate, contact us. We're gonna give you an address. We don't even have that structure anymore because it's not our main focus anymore. It's more like we want to achieve this. We want to achieve to be self-sustainable,
So you put a lot of your time into this, and you've exposed yourself even financially to a lot of risk, I know, personally, in this project.
Can you say a little bit about like your motivation
Yes.
for doing this? Like
Yes,
when you
'cause-
started out and now.
Yeah, because a little bit like a bridging, like I was talking to you guys, and it's a little bit like we went through a civil war from the 60s to the 90s because we're in the backyard of the Americans. It completely destroyed our society. Okay, now it's time to rebuild. Now, how do you want to rebuild? Do you want others to rebuild for you, or you want to rebuild yourself? So it's a little bit, that idea is that we know our country needs rebuilding. So it makes sense that rebuilding has to come from us instead of coming from people of outside. So the idea here is to, in theory, once you have lived through that experience, like myself, you lose your family when you have to be a refugee, you have to go elsewhere, you do your life. You lose all your family, your ties, because you lose your country. You leave your country behind, you start a new country elsewhere. So now the rebuilding process has to come from people that are able to rebuild. So now, things are good for us in North America. So for those that can, it's time to come back and try to help in a way. So the idea is to rebuild with sound foundations, sound money. We don't want to rebuild like the NGO business that you don't know where the money goes. Like half is going to just for the administration or paperwork, or we don't want to do that, right? We want to rebuild correctly in a sound way, low preference, sustainable way. So that's why it's one of my objectives, like other people's objectives, is to give back to our country and try to rebuild. Because at some point, when you look at your life, you have to be content with what you have. Let's say if you have kids, family, you have a wife, things are good, you have everything that you need. So maybe it's time to do something for your country. So that's a little bit of the idea of Lago Bitcoin. That's a little bit of the idea of the project, is to rebuild in a sound way.
You mentioned that their saving habits were they were using their stock
Yes.
to save. Has that habit changed anything after Bitcoin?
Yes, because before this technology, they were saving in stock, extra Cokes, extra this, extra that. With that technology, they realized they can be anonymous, can be fire protected. So there's a shift for those that use it, obviously. There's a shift, they're not saving anymore in stock. Obviously, they have the stock there, they gotta get rid of it slowly across time. But now, they're saving in sound money. So it's good, but the other step is self-custody. So, we're progressing. So that's what we're looking at. It's like a lab. We're just launching and looking at what's happening and looking human behavior. And it's surprising that in that part of the world, human behavior is just like us. At some point, when things are growing, you're getting wealthier, you're hodling, you're keeping it, and you're changing your spending habits. And so all those things are happening, obviously in a different scale, but it's like human nature. So that's interesting to note. There was another question.
There was one here.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for the presentation.
Pleasure.
Central America is very interesting for everyone here, and it's interesting to see the development happening over there. My question is regarding taxes. I know from my experience in cash-based societies that people don't really pay taxes in cash-based societies. And I'm wondering, with blockchain technology, what is the opportunities and challenges, and how do people see contribution to society? And also, because how I see it is with a top to bottom contrary to a bottom to top strategy. is that it is easier to implement these, call it forced actions. So what is some type of actions that has been implemented or are thought to be implemented in the future?
Okay, so tax system, there's a way in the Western world where the tax system works, is that you work and you don't give it, they can take it from your, they take it from your paycheck. So you're paying taxes and you don't know if they're handled correctly or not. It depends of your vision. Obviously, we're seeing what they're doing in the US, exposing all the inefficiencies. So we're all asking ourselves, why are we paying taxes? And you see sometimes in societies, you pay taxes and you can perceive, that it works. Like in Norway, everything works, it's efficient. You're saying, okay, my taxes are, I see the difference. In North America, you can pay taxes, there's holes in the roads, there's inefficiencies everywhere. You ask yourself questions, but you pay taxes. You go to Central America, informal economies, people dealing with cash, they don't pay taxes. There's no income tax year, they don't have to do their taxes. They leave, their life is completely out of the system. They're out of the system. They're Bitcoiners, they don't even know about it, so we just help them out. So how it is that if you have a business, if you have a regular job, if you have to do this, you have to do your income taxes, but taxes are lower. Now, the difference is that here, if you spend whatever you have a capital gains tax, like in Western world, you have capital gains tax. So obviously you don't want to spend Bitcoin because you're gonna have a capital gains tax. But over there, we don't have that because in Guatemala, Bitcoin is like a foreign system. So whatever you make in Bitcoin is like if you have international revenue that's not taxed. You pay taxes if you make money working in Guatemala, trading in Guatemala, doing Guatemala stuff. Obviously, you will incur taxes. So if you're a business in Guatemala making money with goods and services, obviously you will have to pay taxes, but always way lower than everywhere else because, But all the informal businesses, they don't pay any taxes. But obviously, you can see it in the country that you don't have any services because nobody's paying taxes. But why do you pay taxes if they're all corrupt? So it's chicken and egg problem over there, Should we pay taxes? But, we know they're all corrupt, so maybe we shouldn't pay taxes. So it's an issue. Every country has their issue.
Yes. If you compare the so-called developed countries such as Canada, with the developing countries such as Guatemala.
Yes.
In the so-called developed countries, the fiat system works relatively well, at least compared to the developing world where inflation is higher.
Yeah, more friction.
In your experience, what's the attitude towards adapting Bitcoin in the countries such as Canada compared to Guatemala?
Okay, so Canada is very similar to Norway. I've been here a couple of days. I've been to our Europe countries. We have similar situations. Obviously, you guys are different in certain ways. Like I was telling, that things are efficient here, things work, so you feel more. I feel confident here paying taxes because I can see the difference. But now, in Canada, you have so many inefficiencies that you're there like, I don't know why I'm paying taxes. So we have roughly the same situation. But the Bitcoin part, it has to be a journey that you have to do alone. It's a self-journey. So in Canada, in Norway, it's a little bit of this, I think it's the same thing, is that you guys can help yourselves. You can help, first thing, help yourselves, then your family. You got to think about your family. You got to think about your friends. You got to think of and introduce it in a way the most positive way possible, because obviously there's a bad rap. The press is giving a bad rap about it. It's like they never talk about the good things that are happening in Central America. Nobody talks about that. It's all negative, negative, negative. So people are used to being in the system, and it works. It works. It works. But then there's inflation. Over there in Canada is the services. There's a crisis of services, healthcare. The schools are they're like crumbling down. There's no money to renovate schools. All the funds are paralyzed for schools. So when we went to school, we had not beautiful buildings, but at least they weren't broken. Now, like you send your kids, the school closed because they found mold. They have to close the school. It's cracking, and you can see that everything is cracking everywhere. And obviously, we know what's the problem. The problem is the currency is fading away, obviously, because we're not in the gold standard anymore. But we know that. But the problem is that all our friends, everybody else, what they're experiencing, they don't understand it. And everybody around them is telling them that the solution is bad. So obviously, we are fighting like an uphill battle. And the only way we can sort of convince them is just showing them yourselves, being yourselves, and showing them, look, I can do this, I can do that. People are struggling, I know, but I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And people will say, hey, how come you can do this? How come you can take a vacation? How come, you're not cutting down on when you go to the grocery store? How come? Well, say, I kind of save. I have a different way of saving. And slowly it's a way showing that you can manage your life. The others around you are going to take note and start asking you questions like, and then you can slowly talk about the fact that, you are diversifying, you are doing this, you are saving in another way. So I think maybe that's a solution. Thank you.
So we'll just take a 3-minute break. If anyone wants to go to the toilets, it's there. Follow Andreas. And I'll have a presentation in 3 to 5 minutes.